It was ridiculous, really, the way my life turned into a cliché the moment he slipped under my covers. 1 second I was scrolling through my phone, ignoring the faint hum of the heater, and the next my 6'4" roommate, star of the college basketball team, campus legend, and very much someone else's boyfriend, was breathing against the back of my neck. I should have shoved him out, cursed at him, slammed the door, something. But all I could think was how cold his skin felt, how quietly his body trembled, and how heavy my chest suddenly was with a guilt that wasn't even mine. "Eli," I whispered, though my voice cracked like I was 14 again, not 21. "What the hell are you doing?" He didn't answer right away. His arm slid across the sheets like a hesitant tide, stopping just short of my waist. The silence stretched until I thought I might break in two. Finally, he murmured, almost too low to hear, "I just can't be alone tonight." That was Eli Jameson for you, the guy who smiled for the cameras, who dunked like gravity didn't apply to him, who could kiss his boyfriend under the stadium lights without caring about the whispers. And yet, here he was, crawling into my bed like a child afraid of the dark. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity. I wanted to cry too, because I knew this wasn't about me. Not really. Still, when I rolled over to face him, the look in his eyes pinned me to the mattress. There was no spotlight, no crowd, no perfect boyfriend cheering from the stands. Just Eli, exhausted, cracked open, human. "You shouldn't be here," I said, though I didn't move away. "I know," he replied, and the way his breath hitched told me he meant it. When we first became roommates, I hated him. Too loud, too perfect, too much. He was the kind of guy who could walk into a room and instantly own it while I was just the background noise. Journalism major, quiet, decent grades, nothing remarkable. If my life were a novel, I'd be the filler character. But Eli noticed me, noticed in ways that were impossible to ignore. He borrowed my notebooks and left doodles in the margins. He teased me about my awful taste in music but listened to every playlist anyway. And then there were the nights when his boyfriend wasn't around, nights when Eli would sit at the edge of my bed, talking about things I suspected he'd never admit to anyone else. Started small. Complaints about the pressure, about never being allowed to lose. Then about his parents, his coaches, the suffocating weight of being everyone's golden boy. And then, sometimes, about his boyfriend, the distance, the fights, the way love could feel like another performance. I never asked for those confessions. I never wanted to be the safe place he ran to. But somehow I became it. And now, with his hand brushing mine under the covers, I realized how dangerous that had become. "I shouldn't want this," Eli whispered suddenly, like the thought had clawed its way out of him. His forehead touched mine, and my entire body went rigid. "But I do." God, I wanted to tell him to stop, to say this was wrong, that he couldn't just crawl into my life when he felt lonely and expect me not to drown in it. But my lips betrayed me. "What do you want, Eli?" He shut his eyes, and for a moment, he was just a boy again. Not the star, not the idol. Just a boy trembling in the dark. "I want to feel like myself. Just myself. With you." The honesty of it hit me like a punch. Because wasn't that what I'd been craving too? To be seen by someone like him, to matter in a way I'd never dared hope? And that was the cruelest part. I wasn't his boyfriend. I wasn't his love story. I was the chapter he'd bury under lock and key. The one that would never see the light of day. Yet as his fingers finally curled against mine, I let him hold on. Even if it broke me. The night stretched long, filled with words that weren't really words. His breathing, my silence, the thrum of my pulse in the darkness. Every second carried a weight I couldn't put down. Somewhere outside, snow began to fall, soft against the window. Inside, Eli clung to me like I was the last anchor he had. And for that night, I let myself believe I could be. Because maybe love isn't always the grand declaration, the fireworks, the fairy tale kiss. Sometimes it's just two boys hiding from the world, pretending the morning will never come. The morning after felt like a hangover, even though I hadn't touched a drop of alcohol. Eli was gone before sunrise, his side of the bed still warm when I woke. The sheets smelled faintly of his cologne, that mix of cedarwood and sweat that had become familiar in ways it shouldn't have. For a while, I just sat there, staring at the empty space. It was almost easy to pretend it hadn't happened, to write it off as some dream born out of exhaustion and loneliness. But the truth was carved into me, sharp and undeniable. Eli had wanted me, even if only for a night, and now I had to live with it. Days passed in a blur. He didn't mention that night, and neither did I. We moved around each other in the apartment like ghosts, careful, too careful, as though one wrong step would shatter everything. But tension has a way of slipping through cracks. One evening, after practice, he came home dripping with sweat, his jersey clinging to him. He tossed his bag down and caught me staring before I could look away. "You're avoiding me," he said, voice low but steady. I swallowed. "I'm not. You are." He stepped closer, and the air between us tightened. "And I get it." I crossed a line. "But don't pretend you didn't feel it too." I froze, heat flooding my face. My chest ached with the truth I'd been burying. Because yes, I had felt it. I felt everything. "Eli," I whispered, "you have a boyfriend." His jaw tightened. For a moment, he looked like he wanted to argue, to tear the world in half just to justify us. Instead, he collapsed onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. "I know," he said, voice cracking. "I know. But with him, I'm everything he wants me to be. With you, I'm just me. And I don't know how to walk away from that." The words cut deep, too deep, because I realized I didn't know how to walk away either. The breaking point came a week later. His boyfriend, Tyler, showed up unannounced. Tall, confident, everything that screamed perfect partner material. He hugged Eli in the doorway, kissed him like he owned him, and my stomach twisted with something ugly. For hours, I hid in my room, drowning in the sound of their laughter. I hated myself for resenting it, for wanting what wasn't mine. When Tyler finally left, Eli lingered in the silence, his face unreadable. Then he came to my door. "You can't keep doing this," I snapped before he even spoke. "You can't crawl into my bed one night and hold his hand the next. I'm not a damn consolation prize." His eyes widened, pain flashing across them. "You think that's what you are to me? What else am I supposed to think?" My voice cracked, and suddenly tears burned hot in my eyes. "You're with him, Eli. You love him. And I'm just the secret you'll never admit to." The silence that followed was suffocating. My chest heaved, my fists clenched. I expected him to walk away, to let it end right there. But instead, he stepped closer. Slowly, carefully. "I don't love him," he said, and the weight of it dropped like thunder. "I thought I did. I tried to. But it's not the same. Not like this." His hand hovered near mine, trembling. "I've been lying to myself, and it's killing me. You're not a secret, not to me. You're the only part of me that feels real." I wanted to scream at him, to push him away, to demand why it had taken so long for him to admit it. But when his hand finally found mine, the anger melted into something else, something softer, terrifying, and impossibly right. Love didn't fix everything overnight. He broke up with Tyler the next day, and it was messy, cruel in the way endings always are. The whispers spread across campus like wildfire. Eli Jameson, the golden boy, caught in the middle of scandal. But through it all, he chose me. And for the first time, I let myself believe that was enough. Months later, I found myself sitting courtside, watching him play. The crowd roared every time he touched the ball, chanting his name, worshipping the star they thought they knew. But when his eyes met mine in the stands, the look was different. Private. Intimate. Ours. That night, when he came home, he didn't sneak into my bed like he was ashamed. He walked into my room, grinned that stupid grin, and kissed me so hard I forgot how to breathe. "Still think you're just a consolation prize?" he teased against my lips. I laughed, the sound breaking free like a weight lifted. "No," I whispered. "Not anymore." He pulled me close, arms wrapping around me with a certainty that left no room for doubt. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of the morning. Because real love wasn't about perfection or performance, or the image the world demanded. It was about this. Two boys, tangled up in sheets and promises, finally choosing each other without regret. And as the night stretched on, I knew the story we were writing was no longer one of hiding. It was one of beginnings. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.